All right. Okay, so with all of that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and introduce our panelists. So I am the first one. I am Brianna Andrus. I'm a chemical engineering major. I am a junior this year, and I'm currently serving as a Promise Ambassador this year, and I am the treasurer for the UH NSBE chapter. Our next panelist is Miss Minerva Carter. She is currently the Senior Promise Programs Manager, and she's also the founder and manager of Promise, Women in Promise. And finally, I have Edmund Asale. He is a chemical engineering major. He is a senior this year, and he's currently also serving as a Promise Ambassador and is the Professional Development Chair for the UH NSBE chapter. Do my panelists want to come on and say hi to everybody?
Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for spending your Friday evening with us.
Hey, everyone. Nice to see you all.
All right. Okay, so before we get into the nitty gritty, I'm going to go ahead and have Edmund and Minerva share some upcoming events that are happening this semester within Promise and within NSBE. So I'll go ahead and start off with Edmund, if you want to share some events that are coming up within NSBE.
Yeah, so we have 2 events coming up in September. So the first one that I want to mention is the NFO session with Coinbase. It's going to be on September 9th at 7 p.m. Another one is the NFO session with Bechtel on the 21st at 6 p.m. And then the general body meeting as well is going to be on October 14th. Even though it's not in September, I mentioned it because that's like, one of the biggest meetings we have from the SB, the general body meeting. And it's going to be at 7 p.m. on October 14th. And I also want to use that time to talk about the upcoming career fair on September 10th, which I believe is very important. You all want to make sure that you apply for the company you're interested in connection. Just make sure, because yesterday at the networking social, some of them mentioned that if you don't apply on e-connection, you might not be considered for the position. So I also want to just put it out there so everybody is informed. Thank you.
All right, and then for you guys who are not familiar, NSBE is the National Society of Black Engineers. It's a really awesome organization for you to get connected with other like-minded individuals who are within engineering. So if you have any further questions, please reach out to me. Ali Hashi, our president, is in here as well, or Edmund. And then I'm gonna go ahead and pass it over to Ms. Carter so she can tell us about some events that are happening in Promise.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. Let me see, there we go.
Also, really quick, if you are a NSBE member, there is a link in the chat for you to sign in to make sure that you get your points. So go ahead and click that link in the Google Docs so we can get you guys accounted for.
Okay, hello everybody. Just to let you know, with Promise, we have, of course, the event that we're doing tonight, and thank you guys for coming on. Brianna is actually recording that event, so if you have friends or people in your study group or your circle that was not able to make it, then reach out to Brianna and she'll be able to get that recording to you. On our calendar, you can actually go to our website and click on the tab that says events, and it will show you our whole calendar of events all the way until April, to the end of next semester. So the next upcoming event that we have is our Women of Promise Women in Engineering panel, and that's on September 21st at 7 p.m. We have 4 panelists who are coming, and they're actually, this is an event that we're doing in collaboration with Engineers Without Borders at UH. And so it's going to be a wonderful event. We have an alumni from the University of Houston, who's also a alumni board member. We also have a recent graduate, Nita, and I know you guys know her, Nita Yilmaz, and so she'll be on the panel as well. And what we are focusing on is talking with women from different generations, those who just currently made it into the industry, and then those who have been 5 years in the industry, 10 years in the industry, and 20 years in the industry. On September 29th, Promise is having a hangout. Please join us. It is our virtual party night, and that's at 7 p.m. If you're in the mood to party and play games, please join us. And then we also have our Women of Color Conference, and that's in October the 8th, 2020, and the registration is only $25 to attend everything virtually, which is including the virtual career fair. And it's not just for women, it's also for men as well. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Is that okay, Brianna?
Yes, sorry, I was on mute.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so now we're gonna go ahead and get started. Minerva is going to share some awesome tips with you guys to get you guys started on time management. So what we're doing with this workshop, it's gonna be 2 parts. This is gonna be the first part where it's going to be tips for you guys and Q&A. The second part of this workshop, which is going to be on a later date, is going to be a little bit more interactive, because then we're going to actually break it down with you guys on how to actually put it on a planner. How do you allocate time, making sure you're accounting for not just your classes and your studying, but your eating, time to make sure your mental health is right, make sure you have time for yourself. So we're going to break all of that down in part 2. So with that being said, go ahead and start us off, Ms. Carter.
Okay, well, you guys, hello, welcome to the Time Management Workshop. I am Minerva Carter, as mentioned previously, the Senior Promise Program Manager, founder and manager of Women of Promise here at the University of Houston in the Cullen College of Engineering. Promise serves as a critical function for the Cullen College of Engineering, the University of Houston, and the City of Houston in promoting engineering among area students. Promise has a long and impressive history of supporting engineering students, building the pipeline for engineering and changing lives one student at a time. Our success is shared by our sponsors who have helped to sustain our activities, and they have financially supported our students nearly 4 decades now. So if you would like to learn more about Promise, and also want to join this amazing community of engineering scholars and leaders, please visit our website. Because we are dedicated to supporting your success, tonight, NSBE, the National Society of Black Engineers at the University of Houston, and Promise, the Program for Mastery in Engineering Studies, presents the Time Management Workshop. So let's begin. What does everyone have in common? Time. We possess the same 24 hours in a day. How people choose to spend their time makes the difference. So how can we get the most done in a day in the most efficient way? Tip number 1, set goals and rewards. By setting your goals and for your day, you create proper targets and you won't fall off schedule. When setting goals, you have to ask yourself if you want to achieve those things. And this is important because a lot of times people set goals and then we don't connect our ambitions with our goals. Ambitions maximizes your productivity. It helps you to see the bigger picture, and it helps you to do many things as possible in your 24 hours. And after achieving your goals, you need to reward yourself. Rewards can go from food, special treats, periods of time you do absolutely nothing, relax, go for a jog, or read a book, walk your dog, just those things that are special and rewarding to you. Tip number 2, prioritize your task. You will realize that you don't have enough time to do everything that you need to get done. This is why it is important to set your priorities right. To do this, you set your task in the following categories. Category number 1, important and urgent category. These tasks need to be done right away. Category number 2 is important and not urgent. These tasks appear important, but you can decide when to do them, but not before first category tasks, not before the first category task. Category number 3, urgent but not important. These tasks need to be done right away, but when you complete them, they don't have a lasting value. And number 4, category number 4, not important and not urgent. These tasks are usually leisure activities. These are things you don't need to do, but usually you want to do. And so we'll go further into, in session number 2, we'll actually walk through how to prioritize and assign those tasks to the different categories. Tip number 3, learn to delegate. This is so important, and even as students, and I tell my mentees this, yes, you can delegate your life. A lot of us are used to delegating in a leadership role or in a job role, but you can also delegate, learn to delegate in your life. Hold on just a moment. So delegating means letting someone else take the lead on your responsibilities and trusting the outcome is the desired one. So that's all delegating is. You can delegate small tasks like having your roommate to cook on certain days and you cook on the other days you don't have a heavy class and assignment load. You can also purchase meal prepping services to prepare your meals on some days, so you don't have to spend time cooking and preparing meals. You can go even bigger and delegate reading, class, and homework assignments to individuals in your study group. When I was in pharmacy school, my study group would divide up the reading assignments for our pathophysiology and neurological development course. We each would present our section of reading to the study group and share a copy of the notes made while we were reading our section. If you needed to go back, if any one of us needed to go back and review a portion of the section that we presented, you did not need to read the whole entire section. If homework questions were assigned to each section, that person was responsible for answering the questions, calculating and solving those answers, and would explain how they calculated and came up with those answers to the study group. This was very effective because not only did it allow us to read certain sections, but once you teach that information and translate it to other individuals, it locks into your long-term memory and you have a better understanding. This is absolutely a huge hack, especially for engineering students in those majors that have a lot of reading and workload assigned to their classes. So tip number 4, start with small tweaks in your schedule. Tweaking your schedule in little tiny ways will allow you to create extra time in your day. I know some of you guys are on here and you're just like, I absolutely don't have any extra time in my schedule. I'm here trying to figure out how to manage what I can do. Well, I'm about to show you how you can find extra time in your schedule just by little tiny tweaks. Something small like waking up 10 minutes earlier every morning can make a huge difference in your daily and weekly schedule. We're talking about 10 minutes earlier, just setting the clock back 10 minutes and allowing that alarm to wake you up. Waking up 10 minutes earlier for 5 days out of the week creates an additional 50 minutes for your week. That's incredible, right? And you thought you didn't have any extra time. Likewise, cutting down 20 minutes on the social media mindless scrolling, making this 20-minute daily cut for 5 days out of the week creates an additional 100 minutes to be better utilized to achieve your goals. Once you add both of these small tweaks up, you now will have 150 additional minutes during your week to accomplish the things that you need to do. Tip number 5, set clear deadlines. This is so important. This is absolutely important, and it will sabotage you. You can do all of the time management tips in the world, but if you do not set clear deadlines, you will not be successful in managing your time. Setting clear deadlines are important in managing your time. Questions you need to answer. How much time do you need to finish your assignments? If you do not know how long it's going to take you to read your chapters that have been assigned, then how are you going to allocate that time and budget that time on a calendar or planner? Next question, when do you need to complete your task? If you do not have an understanding of when do you need to have this completed, and an understanding of, do I need to read first, then I have assignments to do, and then I have a test coming up. Now you have to figure out that timeline. You have to figure out what are the deadlines in doing that. Because in college, they're not going to check in with you and they're not going to tell you, hey, you need to have your reading done by this date, like you guys were used to in high school and middle school probably. If you don't know the answers to these questions, it will be hard to keep track of your time. It's easier to be on time and get everything done if you set clear deadlines for each and every task and chore. If you choose your time limit on every task, it will be easier to complete the task. Most importantly, keep track of your time, just like your money that you spend. A lot of us, when we have cash in our pockets, by the end of the week, we're like, what happened? I have $50. I don't know what happened to that. And then you realize, oh gosh, I went to Starbucks every day. And then I actually stopped back twice for lunch. And then when you add it up, you're like, oh wow, okay, then that makes sense. So just like with your money, you need to keep track of your time, keep track of the time you're spending and the time you have left to complete the other tasks for that day. You can make deadlines in your planner or in your calendar. Using a planner or calendar can be useful if you're trying to manage your time better. Whether you use a classic paper calendar or an app, a calendar will let you know. It will not lie. It will let you know what you have to do and when it needs to be done. Tip number 6, plan your meals ahead of time. So I try to do tips that I know you guys can benefit from specifically as students. This is important because you guys eat all the time. I have a college student and a high school student, so I know. So 1 whole hour in a day can be shaved off by scheduling your meals in advance. Most people are not aware of how much time it takes to decide what to eat. Come on, ladies, y'all know how long it takes us to decide what we want to eat. And the guys are like, yes, I know. And then also to prepare the meal and to eat the meal. You can allocate 2 to 3 hours every Sunday to cook your weekly meals in advance. If takeout, on Sunday, write down a list of restaurants you're going to order from and what you are planning to order in advance. And if I can tell y'all, this is so important because we do DoorDash, and I send out the restaurant menu to my boys a day or 2 days ahead of time, because one time I sent it out like an hour before I wanted to order, and we couldn't decide on anything. We first of all then went to other restaurants looking at other menus, and then we couldn't decide on what we wanted, and it was exhausting. And then we decided, oh, we'll just order it tomorrow. We'll give ourselves more time to figure it out and order it tomorrow. So this is important. If takeout on Sunday, write down a list of the restaurants you're going to order from and what you are planning to order in advance. Write down the numbers to the restaurants, or you can even go through your app through DoorDash and order. You can save it in the cart and order in advance. So I highly suggest that. To make the food choices easier, if you're cooking at home or even if you're ordering out, you can assign food-themed days. For example, Mondays will be fish. Wednesdays will be salads. So these are just little hacks to shave off time, and you will find out you have an abundance of time. So tip number 7, say no to multitasking. This is important in time management. The multitasking concept is a person dealing with more than one thing at the same time. Despite what you may think, multitasking is not that efficient, and it doesn't save you time at all. Multitasking will make you complete tasks in low quality and will actually slow you down. You will miss out on important details. Your attention is divided between 2 or more tasks, which makes your brain switch back and forth very fast between those tasks. It takes a few minutes to switch between assignments and to try to concentrate, for the brain to try to concentrate on what you are reading or doing. When you multitask, you use temporary brain storage versus long-term memory storage. This can be problematic when reading material that you will need later for an upcoming quiz, test, and later on a final. So definitely be careful and say no to multitasking. Tip number 8, link your actions to your goals. This is so important. Evaluate how and what you are doing is related to where you're trying to go. The goals that you have set are your actions leading you to achieving those goals. Make 2 lists, one with the goals you are aiming for, and another list of the things you spend time doing. If the lists don't align, that means you're probably wasting your time in the wrong direction. This exercise is critical. It will give you a useful gauge on your efforts. So make sure to write the list, because most people think their daily actions are linking them to their goals. But when they evaluate further, they discover that is not the case at all. Sometimes, and I thought this was very important, sometimes even people you spend time with aren't of the best quality. So make sure you align your list of your goals with the things you're doing and the people you are spending time with. This is so important in your study groups as well. If someone in the study group is always late, doesn't follow through on their part, talking and distracting the group, not contributing to the group, unfortunately, your actions of tolerating this is not linking you to your goals. Tip number 9, block out things that can distract you. A lot of people struggle with distraction and procrastination. I'm struggling with it in COVID. Typically, I don't. I'm pretty focused, but this whole remote lifestyle is causing some struggles. So things to do to prevent this: put away your phone. Mute social media notifications on your phone and laptop. This is so important. When I'm working on my laptop and I'm reading something, creating something, or even meeting with different people, and then here comes an email notification across my screen. And it 9 times out of 10, I'll click on it. This is a distraction. I miss the information that I need, or then I have to go back and reread what I was reading. Use an app that does not let you use your phone at certain times. And I know that's pretty harsh, but sometimes that's where we need to start to break that cycle. And until you are able to master that, I would say definitely look at different apps that will allow you to not use your phone. Create a workspace that's only meant for studying and working. Distractions can easily drive you into a mode of low productivity and frustration. So preventing this can make a huge difference. Tip number 10, schedule your day ahead of time. Waking up each day and not knowing what you have to do in the day can make you either forget an important event or take on more responsibilities than you can manage. And we all have struggled with that. An easy way to do this is by planning your day and your week ahead of time. Allow a half of an hour to organize your next week's schedule at the end of each week. And take 5 minutes at night to look at the next day's schedule. This will help you become better organized. And we all know staying organized prevents stresses from developing. So while you spend more time in preparation and planning, you will save tenfold and not have to waste time managing an out of control schedule. So these are 10 tips that are applicable. And I wanted to give you tips that you can apply now and use and start working on and discovering that you can begin to manage your schedule. And then session number 2, we will have interactive calendar blocking, and we will actually walk through these steps. So with that said, now let's open up for questions and answers. And also, I'm gonna turn it back over to Brianna.
All right, guys, thank you so much, Ms. Carter. These are some awesome tips. I will say one tip that I personally have started using is learning how to delegate, and it has helped me so much saving time and being able to do and take on other responsibilities or handle other tasks. So I really appreciate all of your tips, and I'm sure all of our scholars do as well. So we're going to go ahead and open it up to Q&A, you guys. So this is an opportunity for you to ask your panel any questions you have about the tips that are on board, anything that, what are things that Edmund and I are doing as students? What are things or advice Minerva has to give as an advisor? So please take it. We saved a good amount of time so you guys can ask us some questions, so please.
Yeah, I had a question pertaining to meal planning. You mentioned kind of researching where you want to eat or knowing what you want to eat beforehand, and you mentioned some like meal prepping services. Could you give us some examples of meal prepping services that maybe you have used or somebody you know has used before?
Okay, so I used to do meal preps just for the gym because a lot of people like to budget their calories, their macros, their micronutrients and that type of thing. So you could actually, so I'm not doing that now, but it's very useful. I still meal prep personally. And then when both of my boys were here, I have one son that's gone off to college. I still meal prep for them or would meal prep for them because of the fact of activities and having to pick them up. And the only way that I could actually sit down and have dinner with them or make sure that I wasn't feeding them food that was not nutritious, I would actually meal prep. But there are many companies out there. I have several recommendations if you need somebody who actually would do the meal prep. And so you just put your order in and they send you a menu and you select your proteins. They also do restricted diets if you have, if you're lactose intolerant or if you need halal foods or different things like that. So they will actually prepare those foods and deliver them to you as well. And it's a service that you pay for, and that's a part of the delegation. I would even say if you don't have the money to pay for it, when your relatives ask or someone asks, how can I help you in your academic journey? I would say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. And even if it's a meal prepping plan that only covers 3 days out of the week is all that you can afford, those 3 days are really huge because now you're not having to prep the food. You're not even having to go shop in the grocery store for the food as well. So does that fully answer?
Yeah,
Ali? Yeah,
definitely does. Thank you.
I mean, if I can add something to it, so I meal prep every Sunday. Take all my days to just cook, because I'm a chef. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty amazing actually. I cook. I cook every Sunday, and then I just put in plastic containers and then eat it every day, for the whole week. And then that's how I do it. It works pretty great for me.
Thank you,
And
Chef.
then I was going to also say too, a money saver is also meal prepping for yourself, doing the grocery shopping and putting yourself on a food budget and taking the 2 to 3. How many hours does it take you to cook for the whole week, Edmund, typically?
Probably like 3 or 4 hours. Because you make the thing, put on the stove, and then it just cooks. So depending on when I have to, if I'm done with one, I have to change to the other. So like 3 to 4 hours should be fine.
And then one of the things that I do is also make sure to cook 2 to 3 different proteins. So you won't get bored, because if you have the same protein chicken every day or whatever, you're not going to meal prep for a long time.
All right, do we have any other questions? And don't be shy, you guys. Like, we want to answer these questions because we want to help you. We want to make sure you guys really do absorb all of this information and start out the semester strong. So please feel free to ask anything that you guys have questions about.
I don't have a question, but I just want to say that Dr. Minerva, that was a great presentation. I mean, especially at the beginning of the semester, you need something like this just to plan everything out. But I do have a tip as well for planning out on like a mobile device. Downloading the Google Calendar app is very, very helpful, because you can integrate your work, personal, and school schedule in one, and you can see everything that you have. So, and it will get you used to answering a question is, let me check my schedule first, and your schedule is already with you. So it's a great way to integrate everything in one app.
Thanks for that, Ahmad.
So I know we mentioned like delegating. So I just wanted to know, like, what factors do you take into account when you delegate?
Are you talking about factors for yourself or the other person who you are delegating the task to, or both?
It's both.
Okay. For me personally, I've been delegating a lot with my husband. And so it'll be things as far as, I have class all day on Tuesday and Thursdays. Okay, Tuesday and Thursdays, he'll cook dinner, he'll pick up around the house, or if I have a homework assignment due, and I have a bunch of errands to run, I'll be like, oh, hey, if he doesn't have anything going on in his schedule, I'll be like, hey, do you mind doing this? Do you mind taking care of a couple of these things for me? And so that's kind of, but I always ask first. I'm like, oh, hey, so what do you have going on today? If I notice that he has a crazy jam-packed schedule, then I'll talk to him and be like, hey, I'll do these 2. Can you grab these 2 so we can both kind of hash it out and then get back to what we need to get going? But I'm always really considerate of the other person's schedule too, because you don't want to just dump a bunch of stuff on them as well. You want to also be considerate of their time and their time management. So that's usually how I do it. I ask him to see what he has going on, and if he has some bandwidth, then I'll give him a couple tasks so he can help me out.
And just on that note of delegating, just a question. I want to know, what did you guys think about delegating within your study groups? Breaking up those assignments and breaking down the reading and assigning those to different people in the study group.
Yeah, do go ahead, Arafat.
I find that works sometimes, but not all the time. So I feel like it works better with like, assignments, but not reading, just for me, just personally, because I like my things, or I see things a different way from how people see it. And just because of the nature of my classes and my study groups, I don't think that always works for me.
That's exactly what I wanted to say too. So when I was taking chem for with Dr. Henderson, when we do the reading, and then the person that was supposed to do that reading wouldn't do it, and then I found myself not really knowing what I was supposed to do because he hasn't done his job. So even when I'm in groups and then we're like, oh, you have to study the thing, I just study the whole thing just to make sure that I know it. So if that other person doesn't do it, I mean, I've done it, so I understand it. Because I've been in a situation where I couldn't really trust the person that was supposed to do the job. So this is pretty hard for me to do in study groups. Assignments, yes, but readings, I'm not too sure about that.
I was going to say, this is a tip that they give you for pharmacy school, medical school, law school, because there's no way you're going to be able to, you're not expected to read all of those assignments. And that's why it's important to pick your study group. So when I was in pharmacy school, in order for you to study in our group, you already had to be showing some type of something for you to be in our group. And I don't know what it was, but you had to, and we limited the number. And I wasn't over that. I was the only girl in the group and was asked to be in the group, and considered it an honor because it was the valedictorian at the time. But anyway, but yeah, when I can tell, and people were kicked out of the group if they did not do what they needed to do. But it was, we had the highest grades also in all of the pharmacy schools in the US at the time. And I was at TSU. And so I'm what is it? A control person. So it took a lot of time for me to trust what someone was presenting to me, but it also helped me. It reminded me of reading Cliff Notes. So if you're accustomed to reading Cliff Notes, which is one of the things that they gave us a hack in high school for collegiate learning, then it's something that I would say definitely try. But it would be try with a group that you can actually select the people from. So, and Edmund, did you want to say something?
No.
No? Okay. Ahmad.
Well, I have something to say about another topic that you touched on,
Okay.
and that's deadlines. And I think that's something I'm working on myself. And I think it's crucial to assign deadlines before deadlines, if you know what I mean. If you have an assignment or something that's due within a week, if you have like, let's say a big project upcoming and it's like within 30 days, assign different deadlines for yourself, because you'll have time to communicate with your professor, your teammates, and also work on stuff on yourself and review everything, you know what I mean? And I think that's a very important thing to, work on deadlines, because you don't want to be that person who leaves everything to the last minute. And trust me, I've been there, and it's not a good time.
Thank you for that, Ahmad.
Yeah, that was really good. And then sometimes just to mitigate the unknown, like the other day, my battery stopped and I needed to get an alternator. That was not on my calendar, nowhere in my planner at all. It actually threw off my schedule, but luckily I didn't have a deadline for something that day that I was waiting to do, because I typically try not to procrastinate because it stresses me out. But that's absolutely correct. I need to add that to the presentation. That was wonderful.
And also there's a lot of like pros and cons of being in like a virtual setting. It's very easy to procrastinate in a virtual setting compared to like being in person. The lack of motivation, but always try to find something that will motivate you. Me personally, it's probably working out. After that, I feel like, so if I start my day with a workout, I feel fresh throughout the day. I feel way more motivated to, attend classes, do assignments, study for exams. So find something that, both is kind of like a meditation session for yourself, and also something that will give you a boost throughout the day.
Yeah, I was just about to add on that. I think that's super, super important, is starting off your day doing something. Like I wake up in the morning and I give myself 10 to 15 minutes to meditate. And that is me having my time, getting myself mentally ready for my day. So I'm not waking up crazed, hopping from assignment to assignment. I'm starting my day calm and a good mental state so I can make sure that I'm tackling my tasks. Also, a really important thing with us being in these times of COVID and we're always at home, I know it is super, super hard to stay focused and not get distracted, but make sure that you guys are allocating a place in your home that when you sit there, your body is familiar and knows, I have to study, I have to work, I have to get things done. And so like studying in your bed, probably not a good idea. Sitting laying down on the couch, probably not a good idea. You know, sitting at getting a desk or sitting at the kitchen table, making something that's familiar to yourself, to where, you know, when I'm sitting down or when I'm in this area, you know, like it's go time, it's grind time.
And then if I can also add to that, so I'm usually like ahead of my time. So everything that I do next week, I'm done with it this week. So like all my readings for the next chapters, the professor haven't been covered yet. I've read them. All my assignments, I've done them. Because I don't really study on Saturday and Sundays because I like to play soccer and tennis, and I really don't want to study on those on the weekend. So I make sure that I got everything done on that first week when the homework is assigned, you know, the reading is assigned. I'm done with everything. So next week when I get in that week, it's just like a review for me, pretty much like thinking about the, you know, the following week, not even worrying about like what's due now because I've done all that. And then I got so much free time on my end to do, you know, what I like to do.
And also to add to that, in order to get ahead with classes and everything, you already have your syllabus for every course. So if you look at that and you look at all your deadlines that are upcoming, you can group them in an Excel sheet if you want, list them down, make a checklist of what you're you know, almost done with or you already completed, things that you need to review. And once you like look at everything, you already know what's upcoming and what's your like, you know, when you can give yourself a break, when you can move on to the next task.
Yeah, I wanted to add to that. It's super, super important to get ahead. I think before you go to lecture, you should be familiar with the material, but I will say it's really important at the beginning of the semester, talk to your professors and ask them what they advise for their class. I will say that something I ran into is like the first week we went through 3 chapters. And when I looked at the book, it was like 108 pages. And so I'm reading, trying to truck along, and then I talk to my professor, and whenever I'm in lecture, I'm realizing he's skipping several parts of this chapter. So I spent a lot of time reading all of this extra material that he's not even covering. That's not even material that I'm responsible for. So make sure early on in the semester, ask your professor, how do you suggest for me to approach your class? Do you think that I should read the book beforehand so I'm familiar with the material and then go to lecture? Or do you think that I should do lecture first since you're only hitting on certain points? Not all professors teach the same. Not all of them follow those guidelines. Everybody's different. Some follow the book to a T, and some kind of take bits and pieces of requirements to kind of do their own thing. So know your professor. And it's also really good, like, you guys can't be there in person. So make sure when you do talk to your professors, say hi, introduce yourselves, let them see your face, turn on your camera, you know, because that's really, really important to have a relationship with them. And I know that's really, really hard to do virtually, but I always advise, like I always say, hey, can I do like a 10, 15-minute tag up with all of my professors just to say hi, get to know them, get to know what their teaching style is and what they recommend for me so I can be successful and plan ahead for the semester.
Exactly. And to add up on that, a lot of professors, of course, have office hours. So utilize office hours. If not, you can always shoot them an email to ask for an appointment. I'm pretty sure they won't say no. And also, you never know when building. I was like talking to professors at the beginning of the semester so I could get to know them and they get to know me. They put a face to the name. And like later on, they also like help you throughout the semester with other things, not even related to your course. Like my flutes professor was telling me, can throughout the semester, they'll be helping me with, research and things that I can apply practically with my project, which is probably not even this year, you know? So building that relationship with them earlier on will help you in academically and professionally too.
And just to add to that, you guys have to remember that your professors are humans as well. So they're struggling with this whole remote life. Some of them may not have the technological skills to really do the things that they really want to do or would have done in person. So that's why it's important to connect with them as well. So that way you can just, you guys can just ease each other's stresses. And then at the same time, they may probably even communicate to you like, oh gosh, I'm so frustrated. And now you can become a source of relief for them, and they're going to remember that. So just to let you guys know that your professors are humans and they're actually struggling as well. There was a really great comment that alum, I'm reading the chat, and I'll read it. One tip I think works for me with online classes is having my camera on forces me to pay attention, because it's a lot easier for me to just lay down with the, this is so true, lay down with the camera off. And she goes, and I know this is funny enough, I don't have the camera on now. But anyway, but yeah, I thought that was a really great tip, because I have found myself not even really, like how I am with the camera off, I would never step outside my door for anybody to see me like that, but I'm working. So yeah, and it does make a difference, because I'm thinking about all kind of things when I have not prepared and to be able to put my camera on. So that's a great tip.
Yeah, and also with that, with you guys having your cameras on, that is an awesome thing. I have my camera on in every single lecture, even when I am looking a little ratchet in my PJs, because it does show that I'm paying attention. And then also it gives me a chance to hold myself accountable, because a lot of professors are recording lectures. Do not put off going to lecture because you know it's recorded. That is like the ultimate form of getting yourself in a really bad place, because you don't need to be spending Friday watching 2 weeks worth of lectures. Your brain is not going to soak up all of that material. Let's just be honest. It's a great, use it what it's used for. You know, it's a tool for you to go back in case you miss something. Don't use it as a scapegoat of, oh, I don't have to go to lecture today. I'm going to go to my friend's house and hang out. I'll go watch my lectures later. That's a really good way for you to get behind. And you guys want to start off strong. So yes, go to your lectures, even though you can watch them later, go to them and treat it seriously like it's a class. You guys are paying for this. College is expensive, y'all. I don't know if y'all see what the tuition is looking like, but it is something serious. Like, you guys are paying for this. You guys need to be there and soak up every cent of what you're investing in yourself, because this is important. This is important. This is your life. This is your career. So take it seriously. Not trying to be a mama or nothing, but
I'm glad you said it, Brianna.
I know I'll lean all them. They always call me Mama B, because my mama skills always kick in every now and then.
And
that is absolutely right.
Earlier, some professors like have pre-recorded lectures where they, you know, everything that they skip in the live lecture, they already talked about in that pre-recorded lecture. Like, for example, first week of class, you know, he skipped all of, like, my physics professor didn't talk about the syllabus or anything. He jumped because he had a pre-recorded lecture for us to watch before our main lecture time.
And I guarantee you he did that on purpose. I'm absolutely sure of it. Yeah.
And guess what happened? Like, throughout, like, 10 minutes in, his internet went down, and we didn't even have a lecture for that the whole day. So see, accidents could happen. And for him, if he didn't even post that video, we probably wouldn't have anything to, you know, learn about. But
wow.
And also, I know that it's very easy to just, like, not go to lectures and just leave everything for later. But trust me, everything, it'll be like 3-4 hours of lectures. Would you actually want to sit for 3-4 hours on your computer? I don't think so.
Any other questions? Oh, yeah. What's your question, Cassidy?
This is kind of ironic because I actually have to go, but I wanted to know if you guys have any advice for people who play multiple roles, like within their family. Just like, for an example, my little brother, he's in school virtually as well, and I've been kind of like really helping him out with like the technical aspect and like helping my mom figure out how to navigate the technology and everything. So I was wondering if anyone has any tips for managing like all those demanding roles.
So just to let you know, Cassidy, I actually had someone in mind when I developed the presentation, the non-traditional student. I was like you, I had a younger sister, 9 years younger, so I was responsible for picking her up from school, and my mother did not ask if I had a class scheduled at that time. So I had different responsibilities, but what I was gonna say was, what I think is important, especially with your younger brother, is understanding his schedule and maybe seeing how that can align. So I have a 14-year-old who's entering high school. So in the room across from the stairs behind me, I set up his study area that he'll begin on Tuesday, instead of upstairs where my college son is there. Working and doing his online classes. And that way I can run back and forth and help him. I also will communicate to him my schedule, and he will know when there are absolute times where I cannot. But one of the things that I'm trying not to stress out about, I want to communicate that if I'm on a meeting or something and he needs help logging in immediately for a class that he has to sign into, I'm going to speak up and just say, excuse me, I'm going to have to manage the situation right now and take care of, because I'm responsible for his learning. And it will impact him if I say, in his grade, if I say, well, no, I don't, just hold on, I'm in the middle of working. Because these are not your typical situations. So I would just say take everything with ease. The things that you can manage those things ahead of time, like learn his schedule, learn your schedule. I would say even maybe put him close to you or near you in your work and study area, and it actually will provide accountability. Because my 14-year-old will say, I thought you had a meeting today, or I thought you were supposed to be writing a proposal. And I'm like, okay, I'm taking a 10-minute break is what I'm doing, brewing some coffee. And so, and he will tell me, you know, like it's been 15 minutes. So also utilize that to benefit you as well. But I also say if it doesn't, if a day goes by and throws you off schedule, I mean, don't get down about it. Just try to manage it better the next day and see what actually helped the cart to fall off the rails, and then try to put in some things as well the next day. But it's all a learning experience, and it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard, but I would definitely, those are my tips to you. And then maybe it is waking up now 5 minutes earlier. Also not doing the social media scroll, doing Netflix or whatever, because now you've got to review your time schedule, your weekly schedule, daily schedule, and his as well. And maybe y'all have a family meeting because that may be what we're going to have to do, because I need to make sure the 14-year-old doesn't bother the college student. And if that happens, we're going to have a meeting to talk about expectations and boundaries and different things like that, and what you need, also what your mom needs, and then also what your brother needs. And so maybe there's some things they can help you out with as well. So those are my suggestions to you. This is a great time to bond. This is a great time to be with each other, and also to be a part of your brother's education. He's going to remember that for the rest of his life, because I homeschooled my boys and they absolutely remember learning at home.
Thank you for that. That makes me feel better.
And also,
yeah, you're going to do well.
We started the presentation with, you know, priorities first. There are always things will happen in life, like whenever, you know, things that you not even plan for. So if there are things that were on your schedule that are not as important, you can move that to the next day or whenever you're free, and then prioritize, you know, life first, then whatever comes after. And great job taking care of your mother.
Yes.
Thank you, Mom.
I was going to say the only challenge I foresee is different personality types in planning. So in family dynamics, you may have a procrastinator, and then you have someone that's a super planner, and then you have someone that's a medium level planner. So that's why it's important to sit down and talk about expectations, talk about your roles, and that type of thing. And that'll help to mitigate and get rid of any of those risks of things just popping up. Because I'm sure your little brother, he probably will tell you stuff that needs to happen like right now. So yeah, so this way you can get a jump on all of that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and then with the technology, see if you can actually practice ahead of time doing it instead of 5 minutes before it needs to be done, because that's super stressful. But see if you can practice ahead of time, and then also do like a little mini tutorial. Like, I want to see you do it, little brother. Let me see you do it. And then that way he'll be able, like, you're empowering him as well and building his confidence. But anyway, we're over 8. Is it 8?
Yes, I was going to take one last question and then we're going to go ahead and close out. Does anybody want to ask one more question?
I do.
All right, what's up, Smithson?
All right. I liked the conversation about choosing your study group. And I was wondering how it is you were able to recognize that this is the type of person I have chemistry with, and I think that we can be good study partners. And how did you get the courage to actually kick someone out of a group? Because I know that I'd be kind of scared to do that, because I'd be throwing them under the bus. Will they be successful without our help?
Okay, I'm going to answer your last part first. So when I was in pharmacy school, it was highly competitive. So they admitted 100 in each class. They told you that first day of class that our orientation, that there will only be 50 of you graduating. They purposely, it was super stressful. But most professional programs are absolutely that way. There's a curve that they set in, and they just cut off at the curve. So with that being said, you are striving for your goals, you're striving for your degree and your success, and you can't let anyone derail that. That's something that you have to grasp early on. And I'm a person, and one of my personality types is that I am compassionate and I love to empower people and see potential in people. Well, that has backfired in situations like that when I needed to achieve success, because a lot of times I was dragging along dead weight and they did not want it as much as I wanted it. And if they don't want it and they don't earn it and they're not willing to work for it, then they don't need to be there. And it just may be a maturity thing that year, that they may not be mature enough. And so that's what I would say to you, that if it's hindering your success and you're not able to carry the weight of them, then I don't suggest that you keep them into your study group. What we did was, I was the only female, there were guys, so they would huddle up and then they would come back and tell me, we're getting rid of such and such. And I was like, well, have y'all talked to such and such? And one guy, his name was James, and he was married. They didn't know that his wife was having complications with the pregnancy. And he also needed to take a night job, which in pharmacy school, you sign that you will not work. And if you get caught working, they can kick you out of pharmacy school, because you have to dedicate all of you're in class literally from 8 o'clock all the way until 5 something at night, like medical school. And so just to let you know, once I told them James' situation, I actually went to James and I said, James, what can I do? Because this is what will happen. And so I was able to work with James in order to pull his weight for a while. And so that's one of the things to do as well. And if I could tell you, the 2 guys that were leading our group, they're doctors now. They finished pharmacy school and then they went on to medical school. They're doctors now. They were also in the military before. So they're highly productive people. So I don't know that I would have had the courage to kick someone out. I more so have the personality in going to talk to them, giving them a couple of chances and letting them know this is the criteria. Because you just never know where people are and what they have going on. And then sometimes they just don't know how to plan around all of the stuff that they have going on. And so that's my answer. There's not one answer to that, Smithson, but I do say it, you know, I've seen situations where students are really studying with students that are hindering the group. And it's just like, either you need to let them know, hey, this is what our goals are for the group. And this is what we need you to do in order for all of us to achieve our goals, and give them that opportunity to do that. So that's my suggestion to you. You know, I don't think you'll be the one communicating the eviction notice because you don't have the personality type, like I wouldn't be, but maybe in that light, you can actually go and find out more information and then see what they need help with. And then also let them know what they need to do as well.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. On that note, I want to thank everybody for taking the time on your Friday night to come and hang out with us. I hope these tips were helpful. Thank you, thank you, thank you again, Ms. Carter and Dr. J, for doing this collab event with NSB. It was a pleasure being y'all's host tonight. I hope you guys take these tips. I hope you guys take this advice. Please feel free to reach out to me, Edmund, Minerva. We would love to hear from you guys, help you guys in any way that we can. So have a great Friday.
Take a picture real quick.
And Monday, we have Monday off. Yay.
Oh, and Monday, happy long weekend, you guys. Make sure y'all get ahead and read y'all's textbooks on Monday.
Before we leave, can we take a quick little screenshot, little picture of the screen?
You just put,
Yes.
so you just put your video to take a picture?
Say
Yes.
what?
Yes, because
I'm going to stop recording now, y'all.
You just use this video just to take a